Welcome to NCRP 291 Psychology of Peace Building. I know this is many of your, including my majors, first class with me. My name is Nancy Erb. I have loved teaching in the negotiation, conflict resolution, and peace building interdisciplinary program at Dominguez Hills for the last 19 years, yes. And before that, I was teaching multicultural conflict resolution within peace studies and international studies at the University of California, Berkeley. I did a little side work at Pepperdine Law School. I was a guest lecturer at Cornell Law School. And I started teaching, I'm telling you this because this includes my undergraduate teaching. I started teaching undergraduates at Metropolitan State University in Denver, Colorado, a richly international classroom, just like Dominguez Hills. And I was teaching applied communications there. So I was teaching conflict resolution, persuasive advocacy, group communication, intercultural communication, and gender communication. We actually don't have that type of communications program at Dominguez Hills, so if some of you share my interests in those topics, I think you will get a nice intro in this course, Psychology of Peace Building. Now, the reason that I'm doing this video lecture this week, week 2, is to thoroughly highlight the most important parts of your course syllabus. Now, if those of you who read the Getting Started recommendations have already ordered and have your books and have printed out and carefully read your syllabus, you're well prepared for me to review its highlights. If some of you have added the class late and are running behind, the best way to listen to this video lecture is to do it with your syllabus in front of you after reading each line carefully. And if you are like me, an experiential learner, you want to highlight it, take notes all over, write all your questions, really make it your own. This is your contract for our course. It's what governs what grades you get. It lays out all the expectations for your graded assignments. It's the most important document you can read and get acquainted with. I know that Canvas gives you weekly or bi-topic modules to take you step by step through your learning, but the modules do not duplicate the syllabus. You must take the time to read your syllabus. The reason I've been recommending you print it and reference it weekly is because a few of my students historically have tried to read it on their phones and they have missed critical parts, and I feel terrible when I discover that they missed something. But it is your responsibility as a university student to read and become thoroughly acquainted with your syllabus. I hope you will approach me with all your questions. Go ahead and do it on Canvas. If you look at I'm not going to show you page 1 in my video, but you can look at page 1 as you're looking at your syllabus while I'm reviewing it. You're going to see my name and my email address. Please use it liberally whenever you need me or have a question. I check my email pretty much every day, and my students will tell you that if I receive your email, I tend to respond within 48 hours at the most. If I don't, it's because I haven't received your email, so try again. But you're also welcome to arrange to meet with me in person. When I'm on campus, you can see that on your syllabus, or by phone and Zoom at a time that works for us. So really, take the time to ask questions. I participate in Canvas with you in the discussion board threads every week. So go ahead and ask your questions there, and I will answer those so that all of your classmates will benefit as well. Okay, the first page has the course description. I'm not going to read that, but I will say to you, when I was first asked to teach a version of this class to all majors at the University of California, Berkeley, I had been a practicing negotiator, mediator. That's a very popular form of facilitated conflict resolution, a facilitator of dialogue, and peace builder. That includes my lifelong activism, nonviolent activism. I had been doing the practice for many, many years. In fact, when I was first asked to teach, I had a full-time practice doing what I just described to you, as well as securities arbitration, which is another popular form of conflict resolution. I was doing some ONSPA's investigation work. You're going to be introduced to this in this course. And I wanted to make psychology of peace building relevant to real world conflict of all types, and peace building that actually proves itself in the real world. So when I was first asked to teach this course, I pulled out all the different theories and techniques that fit with real world peace building. I'm not interested in some professor's academic theory that actually creates conflict in the world, misunderstanding between different cultures, stirs up the conflict between men and women, discriminates. I wasn't interested in any of that, and sadly, in academia, I could teach a whole course on those types of theories. No, I pulled out what actually explains real world conflict, whether it be inner, your individual conflict, your interpersonal conflict with your best friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, wife, child. The real world theories that explain cultures as the people of those cultures would explain their cultures in conflict. So that's what this course will introduce to you as well. I'm not going to be wasting your time with something that's not grounded in real world research that hasn't proven itself. On page 1, you will also find your learning outcomes for this course. And they are important because I use these learning outcomes to review and evaluate all of your graded work. And anytime you demonstrate any of these learning outcomes, you will receive credit. So I would encourage you to use them with your weekly Canvas posts and with all of your papers, because they will help you edit your work, evaluate it, and ensure that you're getting as much credit as you deserve. Okay, I'm going to go on to page 2 now, which introduces your required books. Hopefully you already have those books. I'm going to recommend a couple of other books. One is a very cheap, easy read that students recommend for understanding the work that we're going to do in this course. The other is one of my other books. If some of you are interested in international peace building, that is the focus of the third book that is listed on page 2. I recommend you get hard copies of these books rather than online versions. But if you get online versions, please, print out somehow, make it work so that some of you can do this online. You don't need to print it out, but you're actively working with the questions and activities. You're writing down answers and thoughts in response to them, because my students report that if they do that, they absolutely digest and learn the material better than if they simply read it. There's no question that helps them earn their top grades. Okay, let's see. What I say on page 2, I would like to highlight this. Please don't let my syllabus intimidate you. We will cover a lot of theories and techniques, about 7 every week. I'm introducing these to you. Some of you will be studying with me in future classes, particularly my majors, and so you'll have opportunities to revisit these theories and techniques. For those of you who are, another major and you're taking this as a life-enhancing, education-enhancing supplement, being introduced to these different theories and techniques, from what I've seen with past students, will still enhance your ability to resolve conflict and build peace in your daily life. You're not going to feel like you've mastered everything or you understand everything, but if you pull out 1 to 2 theories and techniques to focus on every week, and really do what you need to do to understand that theory and technique, you'll be doing well in this course. You will certainly be doing well enough to pass the course. So those who excel in the course have told me, because I survey my students, they spend about 3 times more hours actively working with workbook activities, doing the reading, doing supplemental reading, practicing the skills, the techniques to build peace in their own lives and relationships, and writing in their conflict journals. Those who pass do about 1/3 of the time. I rarely have a student who doesn't do enough to pass this GE, because generally you're taking the course because you're interested in psychology of peace building. But I can promise you that I do reach out by email to any student midterm if I'm concerned you might not be passing the course. So I will make that promise to you, that I'm here to support you passing the course. You have to do your part, but I'll do what I can too. Okay, let me go to page 3, because page 3 talks about your papers. That's a really important page to read carefully. It also talks about your weekly conflict journal. Psychology of peace building might sound really abstract before you are introduced to what peace building involves. But truly, it's about as personal a course as you can take. I will be introducing many theories that explain what human beings do cognitively with their thoughts, emotionally with our emotional reactiveness, and any of us who have been traumatized in this world have some reactiveness. We're all emotional creatures. All the psychology of peace building that I will be presenting to you will be addressing all of this, the stress we face in our daily lives. So I'm encouraging you from the very beginning right now to start a conflict journal. And, I'm going to be giving you supplemental text recommendations every week, and page 3 has several that are available in the library, because some of what I present to you, you might go, wow, that is right on. It relates to me so intimately, and I want to learn more. And then other things I present to you, you might go, that doesn't really fit for my life and what I'm interested in. That's fine. Focus on and prioritize what really does relate, what most deeply interests you. With the weekly conflict journal, I'm asking you to keep a daily or a weekly journal where you write about your own conflicts, what you experience, in your work life, your family life, your day-to-day life, maybe your inner life. Maybe you're having some anxiety, you're wrestling with yourself about, am I in the right major? Am I studying enough? You're having some problems, conflict with time management. There's thousands of possibilities, right? But this is your private journal. I'm not going to be reading it. None of your classmates are going to be reading it. So you're going to be writing about your own conflict, and and then I'm going to ask you to practice trying to apply the theories and techniques that I introduce to you every week to your own conflict. See what fits, what doesn't fit, what might be helpful, what's not, and write about that. Now, what I look for every week in Canvas is that you also relate your own conflict to my lectures, your reading, and write 200 to 300 words that you are comfortable sharing in Canvas. Now, 200 to 300 words is about a page, right? So it's not much. But this is how you're going to demonstrate your course learning for the week and earn some minimal points. I also will be giving you activities in both of your books that you can actively work with, and you're welcome to post those as an alternative to posting a more personal 200 to 300 words. Do what's comfortable for you. You are never pressured to do anything that doesn't feel comfortable. You don't need to share things you don't want to share, okay? You're just trying to apply material you're learning in this class to something that is meaningful to you. The course learning outcomes can always guide you, and of course your modules will be guiding you every week. So that's something you're doing on a regular weekly basis. Your papers are going to be your demonstration of your best course learning and understanding, and there are 3 of them. They will be 3 pages. I think your final paper might be 5. I will let you know in just a minute. But the first 2 are definitely, they're mini papers. They're brief papers. And your syllabus describes on page 3 exactly what you need to do. I want you to start with a conflict, and that can be a conflict from your own life. You can change the names. You don't need to let people know it's your conflict. Many students, though, are quite comfortable saying this is a roommate conflict, this is my conflict with my former boyfriend, girlfriend, parents. Once again, let your own feeling about it be your guide. And you're going to analyze whatever conflict you pick, if it's your own or one of the case studies from Holding These Truths. Those are real world conflicts. You're welcome to use those. Or something that's in the news. You just need to have enough detail to be able to analyze it with the theories that you have been introduced to in this course, with the psychology piece. So the first part of your paper is your conflict analysis, the psychology, okay? The second half is the peace building. You are going to propose a technique or multiple techniques to build peace with this conflict. Now, some of you are actually going to try these techniques with your friends and family, and you can give us some reflective practice. How did it go? What worked? What didn't work? What would you do differently if you did it again? So you get the picture. Psychology of peace building. In a 3-page paper, you are demonstrating your best learning to date, okay? You will be doing this once again. If you want to excel, you need to generously demonstrate, show your understanding of the reading, course material. And then let me go, well, actually page 4 is what's next, but actually it's page 6 where I'm going to be giving you my grammatical and spelling requirements. So if you don't mind hanging out for a few minutes, I want to be linear, step by step. I'm going to be on page 4, but we will come to page 6. What I'll say right now is, this is like, your papers are like an exam, right? You go into an exam and you hope and pray to show your best understanding of the course material. Well, that's what you want to do in a paper as well. So you want to edit your papers with the learning outcomes and ask, am I demonstrating my best understanding of the course? If you've diverged, for a page or two with a story about your life, and you're not showing me the theories and techniques you're learning in psychology of peace building, go ahead and create an appendix with your personal story that I'm not going to grade, but I get to read about your life, okay? I have no problem with reading. I love reading my students' papers. But your pages that are graded, your first 3, they need to be focused on demonstrating your course learning. And if you struggle with writing, and some of you, English is not your first language, it may not even be your second language, right? I have international students who are fluent in many languages. But we have wonderful tutoring centers. We have a writing center. Last I heard, the tutors will work with you up to 3 times in a week to help you with your writing, with your grammar, with your spelling. All of it is important in any course at Dominguez, except perhaps math. And your effort to improve your writing, your grammar, your spelling, it's going to benefit you in your life post-graduation. I can guarantee you. Even when you're writing emails, people judge you based on spelling, punctuation, all of it. I wish the world wasn't that way. I wish we would all suspend judgment and put writing in its proper place, but we don't. So invest, give yourself the time, the preparation. Don't wait until the last minute and just throw something together. It always shows. You deserve better. Okay. On page 4, I give you several ways you can earn extra credit. Some of you, you actually judge yourself and your self-worth based on your grade. And a few of my students get angry that I even talk about this, that Americans use grades as a mirror of value to make us feel good. It's sad but true, and I was raised to make my parents proud as well. So I had that kind of relatively recent immigration to the United States pressure to make my parents proud and, look good and all of that. I get it deeply, intimately. You'll see that as you read Living Inspiration. But it's not a measure of your self-worth or your humanity. And I am here to support you in earning the top grade, but you're going to have to work with me in order to do that. And if extra credit will help you, please. I give you so many extra credit possibilities in this course. You could probably earn an A 3 times with the amount that you would do. And let me talk about why some students would do this. It sounds a bit insane, doesn't it? The skills you will be introduced to in this course, the peace-building skills, my students swear to you, they make a real difference in their lives, personal and professional. They are empowering leadership skills. They are the skills that every employer is seeking when they hire graduating undergrads. So they're very powerful skills. They're worth investing in. I just had one of my students from last semester ask me how she can develop these skills more for her future, her dreams. And that's what they are. They're skills to be developed over a lifetime. Those of you who actively practice these skills in your personal and professional relationships and share your success stories or your reflective practice of, oops, that didn't go so well, but I've thought about how it could go better next time. I want to give you credit for that, because I'm not just teaching as a professor because I love teaching, because it's a wonderful career. Those are all true for me. But I really love that I teach skills that empower you to build peace in this very ugly, challenging world. So I want to give you credit. Now, if you do it as a discussion leader in Canvas with your classmates and help them better learn the material, that deserves credit too. So every week I'm going to be giving you several opportunities to earn extra credit. And if you're one of my students but here's the last thing I want to say about, everybody going for an A. My students who earn the top grades generally they're like science students at Dominguez. They spend 3 times as much effort and hours reading the material, viewing my lectures, participating in Canvas, as those who just passed the course. So they really put in the time and the effort to learn. They generously demonstrate their accurate understanding and ability to apply the reading. You can't, take a university level course with me and say that you just want to have videotape lectures. You gotta embrace the reading. But they also work with me to ensure they're on track with that. They don't wait until the last minute, learn that they're just passing, and tell me they need an A. Though I'll tell you, because you are undergraduates, I try to figure out ways to support you in doing more work to demonstrate the learning and the reading that's necessary, if that's an absolute necessity for you for financial aid or whatever. But my recommendation to you is you start working with me from the very beginning, from now, and let's figure out how you're actually going to earn what you're aspiring to earn. I often am a mentor to my students for years after graduation, and I write many letters of recommendation for graduate school, for law school, for other life events. And what I'll say to my students is, if everybody at Dominguez had straight A's, our Dominguez would not matter much in the world. Harvard, the average grade is an A-, and that has hurt Harvard, because people are like, oh, everybody gets a high grade. What does that mean? But I want you to know, if you get a C in my class, a C+, a B plus, heaven forbid an A-, and I can write a rich, honest letter of recommendation on your behalf about the human being that I have seen you to be while you're in my class with me, that will count for much more than a straight A without that personal relationship with a professor and rich letter of recommendation. So I want you to keep grades in perspective in this class. That's what I'm saying. Don't let your B's and C's depress you as they did me when I was in law school. I don't want you to follow in those footsteps. Okay, page 5 is the grading rubric, and it goes through in detail what I have highlighted about excelling and passing. So please read it. Page 6 is where I have the grammatical, punctuation, expectations. I don't ask for APA citation or any particular citation because this is a general education course. It's a major course for a few of my majors. But, you know, citation really is a graduate level concern in my world. I don't think it should be your priority as an undergrad. Really enjoying the learning is more important. But please use spell check, okay? You will lose some points if you ignore this. You know, it is important to work on your writing. Okay, you know, if you need accommodation, please work with me. I have other academic policies on your syllabus. I'm not going to highlight them. Every week in your calendar, I have your assigned reading. I have topics. I list the theories and techniques of that week. You will see that in your Canvas module as well, but it doesn't hurt to reference your calendar on a week-to-week basis along with your module. I mean, if you really want to be conscientious, I would say that's the way to go. Now, I had said with your, I guess, I'm going to stick with 3 pages for each of the three conflict analysis and proposals, because that's what's in your syllabus, and your syllabus is our contract. Okay, please write your questions in Canvas, email me, arrange for a Zoom, an in-person office hour, or a phone appointment. Get as clear as you can on the course and what's expected now. Please don't wait until the end of the course. Okay, I look forward to working with you. I love this course. I hope you will feel the same. Have a wonderful week.